So, I don't really talk about this night because my friends think I'm being dramatic, but every Halloween since then, I refuse to go trick-or-treating near Maple Street. And if anyone wants to judge me, go ahead, I know what I experienced. Last year, me and my cousin decided to go as a vampire and a witch. Normal. Cute. We were walking down Maple Street because everyone said the old gray house at the corner gives out big chocolate bars. Obviously, we went. When we got there, the house looked wrong. Like, the windows were fogged up from the inside, and the porch lights kept flickering yellow to red like a heartbeat. But kids were going up and coming back with chocolates, so we weren't scared. We walked onto the porch, and the wood creaked like something under it was moving. My cousin knocked. The door opened, slow and quiet, and a woman stepped out. She had long black hair and this super pale face. But the weirdest part? She was smiling way too wide, like she had to remind herself what smiling looks like. She didn't say hello. She didn't say trick or treat. She just whispered. Finally. She dropped 2 chocolate bars into our bags and closed the door. No goodbye. No sound. Nothing. As we walked off the porch, I heard the wrapper of my candy moving. Like something inside it was scratching. I looked down, the bar in my bag was wiggling. Like a mouse was stuck in it. I panicked and threw the candy. It hit the ground, and the wrapper ripped a little. And something black, like a shadow with legs, crawled out and ran back toward the house. My cousin screamed. I swear the door opened a crack again. And the woman whispered. Next year. Like she already knew we weren't coming back. But here's the part that still messes with me. When we got home, my cousin dumped her candy bag on the floor, and every chocolate bar had tiny scratch marks on the inside of the wrappers. Like something tried to get out, but not fast enough. We didn't go back to Maple Street this year. We didn't go trick-or-treating at all. And sometimes, at night, I still hear scratching. Not from outside. From my closet. I thought the scratching in my closet would stop after Halloween, like it was just my brain playing tricks on me because of that creepy house on Maple Street. But the night after it first happened, it didn't stop. It got louder. And scarier. And that's when I realized, whatever crawled out of that chocolate bar didn't stay on Maple Street. It followed me home. That night, I was trying to sleep when the scratching turned into a soft tapping. Like tiny fingers knocking from the inside of the closet door. I pulled the blanket over my head, hoping it would stop. But then it whispered. It said my name not loud. Just close. Too close. Like its mouth was right against the wood between us. My chest froze. I didn't even blink. I stared at the door until morning. When the sun finally came up, I gathered the courage to open the closet. Everything looked the same except for one thing. My old Halloween candy bag was sitting in the middle of the floor. I hadn't touched it since that night. Every wrapper inside had scratches carved into them, scratches shaped like a crooked smile, the same smile the woman had. I ran to tell my cousin, and before I could finish talking, she stopped me. She said she'd woken up and found candy wrappers scattered all over her bed. She also heard whispering, but hers said, soon. That's when we decided we had to go back to that house. We had to see if the woman was real, or if something else lived there now. We went during the day. The house looked worse than before, the wood warped, the paint peeling like burnt skin, the windows filled with cracks that weren't there on Halloween night. No kids. No decorations. No life. We knocked. No answer. We knocked again, harder. Still nothing. Just as we were about to leave, the door opened, by itself. Slowly. Like it was breathing. Inside wasn't darkness, it was something deeper. A blackness that didn't look empty, but crowded. Like something inside was watching us from the shadows. Then we heard it, not one voice, but hundreds. Children's whispers layered on top of each other, all saying the same thing. Come back inside. We ran so fast my lungs felt like they were ripping apart. We didn't stop until the house was far behind us. I thought I was safe. I thought leaving the house meant leaving whatever was in there. But that night proved me wrong. The scratching didn't start softly anymore. It was sharp. Fast. Aggressive. Then, slowly, my closet door opened on its own. A cold, rotten smell crept out. And in the darkness of the closet, two small points of light opened, like eyes. Tiny eyes. And the whispers came again, all around my room this time. Not next year. Tonight. That's when I realized. The house didn't want visitors. It wanted us. After that night with the glowing eyes in my closet, I didn't sleep at all. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the scratching again, sometimes slow, sometimes angry, sometimes like it was waiting for me to fall asleep. By morning, I was exhausted, scared, and sure of one thing: whatever crawled out of those chocolate bars didn't stay behind. It followed me. I told my cousin, and she said we needed to stick together. So we planned a sleepover at her house. But before that, we still had the school Halloween dance to get through. I didn't want to go, not with what kept happening, but staying home alone felt even worse. When we got to the dance, everything seemed normal at first. Music blasting, decorations everywhere, lights flashing orange and purple. For a second, I almost felt okay. Then the lights flickered. Just once. Then again. The music glitched. Then the whole room went completely dark and everyone screamed. Teachers told us to stay calm, but I swear I saw something in the dark corner of the hall. Two tiny glowing lights. Eyes. Watching me. Staring at me. When the lights came back on, they were gone, but the feeling stayed, cold and heavy, like something had just walked through me. At the sleepover that night, me and my cousin set up blankets on her floor and kept the lights on. We tried watching movies, but around midnight her TV switched to static by itself. The lights flickered. Then shut off. Her whole room went pitch black. Something scratched the window from outside, slowly, like it was testing the glass, looking for a weak spot. My cousin grabbed my arm and whispered, "We need to go back. To that house. It won't stop unless we do." So at 1:23 a.m., we snuck out of her house and ran all the way to Maple Street. The house looked worse than ever, sagging like it wanted to collapse and take us with it. We stood there, shaking, but went inside anyway because we felt like if we didn't, the scratching would follow us forever. The door closed behind us on its own. Inside, the air was freezing. The house wasn't empty anymore, shadows moved on their own, the walls creaked like they were breathing, and the floor felt like something underneath it kept shifting. We walked deeper inside, and then we heard whispering again. Not one voice. Hundreds. All of them soft, childish, and hungry. "We're here," they whispered. "You left us. Tonight." Then she appeared. The woman from Halloween night. Same pale face. Same crooked smile. But her eyes were gone, just hollow darkness. She opened her mouth, and tiny shadow creatures crawled out, spilling onto the floor and spreading toward us. They were the same size as the thing inside the chocolate bar. Dozens of them. Hundreds. My cousin grabbed my hand and pulled me back. I remembered the only time they backed away, the school dance, when the flashlights were on. I pulled out my phone and turned on the flashlight. The creature screeched and backed up fast, melting into the shadows. My cousin did the same. We used both lights to push the shadows toward the woman. Her whole body shook and glitched like she was breaking apart. The house started to tremble, the walls cracking, the floorboards snapping, the ceiling dust raining on us like the whole place was falling apart. We ran for the door. It wouldn't open. We pushed harder. The whispering got louder, angry, desperate, screaming, "Tonight! Tonight! Tonight!" The door suddenly burst open and we fell onto the porch. The whole house groaned like it was alive. Every window shattered at the same time, and a huge cloud of black smoke shot out and dissolved into the sky. We didn't stop running until Maple Street was far behind us. A week later, the house got demolished. They said it was unsafe. But no one talked about the tiny claw marks the workers found carved deep under the porch, claw marks exactly like the ones inside our candy wrappers. And last night, when I finally thought everything was over, I was trying to fall asleep when my closet door moved, just a little. Just enough. And from the darkness inside, a familiar whisper floated out. "See you next Halloween." When I heard that whisper from my closet, I froze. I couldn't breathe, couldn't blink, couldn't even think. I just stared at the door, waiting for it to swing open the way it did before. It didn't. It just stayed cracked open, like whatever said the words was standing there, smiling in the dark. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. Or the week after. Every time I turned off the lights, I heard soft tapping on the door frame, like tiny knuckles knocking, reminding me it was still there. My cousin stopped sleeping too. She said some nights she heard footsteps in her hallway at 2 a.m. Not big footsteps. Small ones. Too light to be a person, too slow to be an animal. She started locking her bedroom door, but the footsteps still stopped right outside. We both pretended everything was fine during the day. But night was different. Every night at exactly 3:07 a.m., something in my room would move. A hanger would swing in my closet. A drawer would open by itself. My lamp would flicker even when it wasn't plugged in. And it always ended the same way. A whisper in my ear that wasn't loud, wasn't scary, but felt too close. Soon. By December, my cousin and I realized something we never wanted to admit. Halloween wasn't over. It was waiting. Counting down. Like the whole year was just the world holding its breath. One night in January, I woke up to the smell of rotten leaves, the same smell from the house on Maple Street. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and slowly sat up. On my bedroom wall, scratched by something small and sharp, were 4 words. 1 year is nothing. Nothing else happened after that for a while. No whispers. No scratches. No eyes. But it didn't feel like peace. It felt like planning. Months passed. My cousin and I avoided talking about it, but neither of us slept properly. Summer felt colder. My closet stayed slightly open no matter how many times I slammed it shut. And sometimes I woke up with dirt under my fingernails. Like I'd been digging in my sleep. Then, in September, almost a full year later, my cousin called me at 4 in the morning. Her voice was shaking. "Check your window," she whispered. I got up slowly, every step heavy, and looked outside. Across the road, under the streetlight, something was standing there. Small. Shadowy. Wrong. It wasn't moving. It wasn't hiding. It was waiting. My phone buzzed again, a text from my cousin. "There's one outside my window too." That's when I realized it. Whatever escaped from the house on Maple Street. Whatever whispered from our closets. Whatever promised "see you next Halloween." It wasn't coming back. It had been here the whole time. Halloween was just the night it finally gets what it wants. And this time, it's not going to wait until midnight. The figure under the streetlight didn't move. Not even when a cold wind blew across the road, ruffling the trees and humming through the empty neighborhood. It just stood there, its head tilted slightly, as if it were listening to something I couldn't hear. My cousin was still on the phone, whispering so quietly I could barely understand her. "It's staring at me. I think it's smiling." I didn't want to look closer, but I already knew what I'd see, those tiny glowing eyes. The same ones from my closet, the school dance, the house on Maple Street. The eyes that whispered promises. My phone vibrated again, another text from my cousin. "What do we do?" I didn't know. I didn't know anything anymore. Because this wasn't just Halloween following us. This wasn't just a haunting. This was something alive. Something that had waited an entire year just to step fully into our world. I swallowed, trying to keep my voice steady. Lock your window. Don't make noise. Don't turn off your lights. I'll stay on the phone. But even as I said it, something changed outside. The figure under the streetlight took a step forward. One slow, dragging step. Then another. And another. Until it was halfway across the street, still staring straight at me. Still smiling. My cousin whispered sharply into the phone, "It moved." It moved closer. Oh my God, it's climbing. Climbing what? My window. It's crawling up the side of the house. Her breath went uneven, broken. I pressed the phone tighter to my ear. Close your curtains. Don't look at it. Just stay low. But my cousin didn't respond. All I heard was soft scratching. Not on the phone. In her room. Like tiny nails tapping the glass. Then I heard a voice I recognized, the same whisper from the closet, from the house, from everywhere. Let us in. I didn't think. I didn't plan. I just. The figure on my street saw me run and let out this strange, glitchy sound. Halfway between a laugh and a choking gasp. Then darted toward me. I could hear its feet slapping the pavement, but I didn't look back. I just ran faster, 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 cutting across the road, jumping over a fence, sprinting through the empty yards until my cousin's house came into view. Her upstairs light flickered violently. Her curtains moved like something pressed against them from inside. I slammed through her front door, it wasn't even locked, and raced up the stairs 2 at a time. Open the door. I shouted, banging hard. Please, open it. The scratching inside stopped. Silence. Cold, heavy silence. I pressed my ear to the door. Then I heard her voice. Soft. Trembling. Is it gone? I didn't answer immediately. My heart was pounding too hard. Yeah, I lied. Just open up. The door unlocked. She pulled me inside, shaking. Her room was a mess, curtains torn, drawers open, blankets on the floor like she had been dragged. The window was cracked from the outside, like something had pressed hard against it. Her lamp flickered weakly. The eyes, she whispered, hugging herself. They were right against the glass. Like they were trying to see inside me. I hugged her tight. Then something thumped on the roof above us. Once. Heavy. Then again. Faster. Closer. We stared at each other. Neither of us wanted to say it. But we both knew it wasn't alone. We backed slowly away from the window. The light flickered harder. The shadows on her wall stretched longer and deeper than they should have, twisting like living ropes. Then the scratching started again. This time, from the ceiling. It moved across the roof, stopping right above us. We stood frozen, staring upward. Then it whispered through the ceiling vent. We don't wait anymore. My cousin grabbed my hand. We have to go. We ran down the stairs, but halfway down the lights in the whole house shut off at once. Total darkness. Crawling. Standing. Watching. What do they want? My cousin whispered. I swallowed hard. They told us, I said. Last year. She stiffened. They said tonight. But Halloween is still weeks away. I shook my head. That's what we thought. But what if Halloween isn't a night? What if it's a door? The swings stopped moving. The fog thickened. Every shadow in the park slowly turned toward us at the same time. My cousin grabbed my arm. Run. We didn't go back to her house. Or mine. Or Maple Street. We ran toward the biggest building nearby, the school. At night, it looked wrong. too quiet. Too empty. The parking lot felt like a giant mouth waiting to swallow sound. But inside, at least, there were lights. We slipped through a side entrance door that teachers always forgot to properly lock. The hallway lights buzzed overhead, flickering every few seconds, but they stayed on long enough to let us breathe. For a while. We ducked into the girls' bathroom to catch our breath. My cousin splashed water on her face. I leaned against the wall, shaking. "This is too much," she whispered. "Why us? Why are they following us?" I stared at the mirror. Our reflections looked pale and stretched in the fluorescent lighting. But behind us, something moved. Only for a second. A shadow that didn't belong to either of us. "We brought them home," I said quietly. "When we opened that door last year. When we walked inside. We didn't just escape the house. We let it out," she whispered. The bathroom lights flickered. The mirror behind us fractured, not cracked, but bent, like something inside the reflection pressed against it, trying to push through. We backed out of the bathroom slowly. Then the fire alarm went off. Not because of smoke. Not because of fire. But because every single motion detector in the hallway triggered at the same time. The entire school was full of movement. Emergency lights switched on, dim red bulbs that made every corner look bloody and distorted. Footsteps echoed from far down the hall. Small. Scattered. Getting closer. We ran into the auditorium. It was the only place big enough to see everything. The empty stage loomed in front of us, curtains swaying, lights humming. We sat in the center of the room, back to back, holding the flashlight between us. "We can't run forever," my cousin whispered. "I know. What do we do?" I didn't want to say it. But I knew. "We go back." She shook her head violently. "No. No. We can't. Maple Street is gone." I swallowed. "No. It isn't." She went silent. Because deep down, we both understood. You can break down a house. You can burn the walls. You can destroy the wood. But you can't demolish what lived inside it. Not when it already escaped. And not when it wants something. The auditorium speakers crackled. Whispers slithered out of them. Halloween comes early. The stage lights shut off. The red emergency lights buzzed. And every shadow in the auditorium slowly stood up. Like a crowd. Like an audience. Like they'd been waiting for the show. My cousin grabbed my shoulders. "We're going to die here." "No," I said. "We're going to finish what we started." "How?" I tightened my grip on the flashlight. "We go where it all began." She stared at me, horrified. "You mean?" "Yes. We go back to what's left of Maple Street." And then? We ran out of the auditorium before the shadows reached us. Ran through the hallways. Ran through the parking lot. Ran past the fog, past the figures watching us, past the streetlights that flickered violently as we passed. The night felt alive. Breathing. Waiting. As we reached the corner where Maple Street used to begin, the world felt colder. The wind stopped. Even the moon seemed dimmer. And then, we saw something impossible. The house. The house that had been demolished. It was standing again. "No," I said. And then the door whispered. "Yes." Halloween came faster than it ever had in my life. Every morning felt darker. Every night felt colder. The shadows under my bed seemed deeper. And the creatures, whatever they were, stopped hiding. They wanted us to know they were coming. On October 30th, the night before Halloween, my cousin and I stayed together in her house. We didn't sleep. We didn't even pretend. We just sat with the lights on, listening to the tiny footsteps in the walls, counting them like clock ticks. At exactly 11:59 p.m., everything went silent. dead, heavy, wrong silence. And then, the minute it turned midnight, every light in the house went off. All at once. Like something had sliced the power line with a single nail. My cousin grabbed my hand so tight it hurt. The house moaned, like someone was pressing against the walls from outside. Then came the scratching. Soft at first. Almost gentle. Then louder. Then faster. Like hundreds of little hands dragging their nails across every surface of the house. We backed toward the living room as the sound moved toward us, through the walls, through the vents, under the floor. Something small scurried past my feet. I didn't scream, but my heart felt like it cracked. A tiny voice whispered from the darkness ahead of us. "Did you miss us?" The lights flickered once. And we saw them. A dozen small shapes crawling along the ceiling, their limbs bending the wrong way, their eyes round and shiny like wet beads. They dropped from the ceiling, landing silently, all of them facing us at once. My cousin grabbed the fireplace poker and stood in front of me. She wasn't shaking anymore. She was done running. "Not tonight," she muttered. The creatures stepped closer, their little heads tilting like confused children. One reached out a hand, its fingers too long, the joints too many. Something inside me snapped. I lunged forward, grabbed the nearest lamp, and smashed it on the ground. The bulb burst, and the room filled with a sudden flash of bright, violent white light. The creatures shrieked. Not loudly. But sharply. Like light hurt them. My cousin looked at me with wide eyes. "Light," she whispered. "They hate it." We ran. Every lamp, every candle, every flashlight, anything we could find, we turned on, lit up, smashed, or flicked on. The house exploded with bursts of white, yellow, warm orange. And with every flash, the creatures retreated. Not disappearing. Just slipping back into shadows, hissing, clawing, refusing to leave. But they didn't come closer. As dawn crept in, the sunlight reached through the windows. A thin beam touched the floor. The creatures froze where they were, watching it like it was fire. Then, slowly, like dust being sucked away, they slid back into the cracks of the house, into the vents, the closet, the walls, gone, but not gone. It was over. At least for now. We sat on the floor, exhausted, broken, breathing hard, staring at the places where they had disappeared. The early morning sun felt warm on my face, the first warm thing in a long time. My cousin leaned back against the couch, eyes half closed. "Do you think they'll come again next Halloween?" she whispered. I looked at the closet door. Still cracked open. Still dark inside but silent. For the first time, silent. "No," I said quietly. "I think that was their last night." A moment passed. And then the closet door slowly swung shut on its own. Not slammed. Just closed. Softly. Finally. Like something inside was saying, "We're done." My cousin let out a shaky breath. I stood up and opened the curtains wide, letting the sun flood the room. Whatever those things were, they belonged to the dark. And now, the dark had lost. Halloween was over. And this time, they had nothing left to wait for. It was truly the end.